All right, here we are at the Crystal Clear Point Studios with Miles and Smiles Events, and we're talking again, Watch Out. And it's just me and Lou today. Matthew's under the weather, and she just informed me that last week I was having problems with the share screen and you can't see the video, but you can hear the podcast. So listen to it anyway. Damn it. So I got the share screen turned off with our video, and I don't know. What are we doing today? What's to do with you?
Well, look at me. Don't look at me. Uh, so, my suggestion was to talk about lifelong learning and does it help you live longer or be more cognitive or, because that's what I do all the time. I'm always learning something new. And I just feel like that my views on things are a lot different than other people my age that don't do.
Yeah, I have been told several times in the past year that I am not a typical boomer, even though I fall in that time frame. But, I have never fit into my age group. When I was
Yeah.
15, I could get into bars, and then I used to look young for my age, and I don't know what I look like except maybe a little crazy now. But I don't care. I don't care. But it's interesting that you suggested that because I was taking a class online today, still learning. And and ironically enough, it's about helping your memory and your focus and how to retain information. And one of the things that he mentioned was about this study of nuns that were in their 90s
Yeah.
and how spry they were mentally. And they said a part of that was due to the amount of reading they did and how the amount of learning they continued to do.
Hmm.
Now, the irony of this story is I can't tell you the name of this person I'm learning this from because I saw the link. It was sent to me by a friend. It was already an hour in progress, and I logged in real quick. So I don't know who's teaching him. I know he's known as the memory coach, and I think his name is Jim. And he
Okay.
works a lot with actors and actresses, helping them learn their lines and how to
Hmm.
retain their lines and things like that. So it's a 3-day course. Today was day one. I'm very interested. I've already taken 1,000 word memo, making notes while we're doing it. And and I know everything I need to know right now except his name.
Well, you'll find out tomorrow. I'm surprised
Yeah.
they don't say his name 500 times when he's doing
Well, he goes by Jim. He
yeah.
tells us Jim. And I want to say Jim Bisner, but I don't know if that's right or not. So, but it ties into what he taught today. The reason we do not remember people's names is not because we don't retain them, it's because we're not present during the moment. And that is so true for me. A lot of people are thinking about what they're going to say,
Hmm.
not paying
Hmm.
attention.
Right.
Me, I'm looking around the room going, okay, where's the danger points? Where are the exits? And where can I hide when I get tired of talking to these people? So,
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that I'm thinking about uh now who is this person and where do they fit in here and how long am I gonna have to talk to them?
yeah. I think for us social introverts, this is the hard part of our lives. But this has been very informative, and it's a little off topic already because it's talking about how to form new habits, how to speed read and retain what you read, how to retain your focus, how to increase your memory capabilities. But the thing that I'm getting out of it is that it's about how to have positive habits instead of focusing on negative habits. Because
Hmm.
the more positive habits you put in your life, the less the negative ones have room to be
Well, I
active.
think that's true of a lot of things. I mean, when you say something negative, it brings in all that uh, po feelings that you're not right or that this situation is not right.
Well, what's interesting, he says that you should learn things and be able to teach them. And I'm a
Hmm.
firm believer, and that's a strategy behind NLP as well, is that, if you know it, you're able to teach it. And
We used to say in the operating room, see one, do one, teach one,
yeah, yeah. So
you know.
we'll be talking more about these classes once I finish them on the podcast. But did you find out anything about reading and the longevity of life and how does it make us
I
better?
didn't, but I did read a little bit on the nun study. And when it was very interesting, like 678 nuns. mostly in the Milwaukee area, donated their brains after they were deceased. And
Oh, I
they,
didn't know that.
yeah, well, they studied it neurologically, but during, once they signed up, then they recorded all the things that they did during their life to either learn or read. And the only other thing I saw was that reading, no, early linguistics or early speaking was the number one thing to success in their older age with no Alzheimer's.
Okay,
Why are
I
you?
had to stop myself from laughing because all I could think of, all these nuns, they probably labeled them as Abby Normal One, Abby Normal Two.
Oh my God, there she went.
I couldn't stop myself. This is why I don't remember things. I'm so busy in my head.
And I think, one of the things that I was told that if you meet someone and you say their name back to them, and then just a few minutes later, you say their name again, and then before you leave the conversation, you say their name again, that you will remember it. I don't always practice that.
Well, if you talk to them that long time, yeah, I mean, let's think about it. How many times have you gone to like a networking thing or a party of any kind, and they'll so and so go, "Oh, hey, this is so and so," and the next thing you know, you're being carted off somewhere else, and
Right.
other than getting to say hello, you don't even have time to shake hands or
No.
anything. I just think it's hard to expect yourself. I think you're being hard on yourself to expect yourself to remember names under those certain circumstances. With that said, why the hell do we do that in the first place? Don't introduce me to like 20 million people at one time. Let me talk to them a little bit and then let them get scared and run off on their own. You know?
They usually do with me.
Yeah.
uh,
I don't
you
have
know,
a Yeti. I have a Stanley. Do you think we'll get a
uh,
product? Stanley.
I have an Elos. This
Elos. I haven't heard of that.
this
It's
one is
blurry.
64 ounces. So I'm trying to up my water intake. That's fine. But um, but it's very unfair to go like when you introduce to family. You're going in and you're learning the names of your boyfriend's family or your spouse's family, and there's 15 people there, and you're like, I won't remember this.
And you're the only one that they're having to learn too.
Yes,
And then they
yes.
act like you've done some horrible faux pas because you don't remember little Jimmy Tutu in his nappy middle name or what. You
Well,
know?
a lot of times I tell them, it's very nice to meet you, but I will not remember your name since I'm meeting 500 people today. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to tell me again.
I just, you know what? And I used to really do my best because I didn't want people to be offended that I didn't remember their name. And so I do my best to ask questions that would give me glimmers of hope that I might remember it. I just don't do them. I'm like, you know what? I've always been bad with names, and I apologize. I am doing my best to be better at this. What is your name again? I'm sorry. I just own it because, I think that's much better, or at least it is for me, than acting like I know their name when I don't. I mean,
Right.
that just feels really dishonest.
Yeah, it's better just to say, I just met 15 people. And what was your name again?
Yeah, I don't even make that excuse. I just say I don't remember,
Oh,
figure
boy.
I don't
Um,
remember.
hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember. And you're a lovely person, but I don't remember. And what's really weird is if I've had any conversation with them, I can
Uh-huh.
tell them everything we've talked about, but I can't remember their name. And that's always been kind of strange to me. What are you looking at?
My son is calling me, and I just want to tell him I'm on a Zoom. He doesn't call me unless there's something important. So, and I just don't feel like since there's only two of us, that I could just say, "Excuse me."
Yeah, go ahead. If you think it's important, go ahead. Put him
Well,
on
I'm just
speaker. I'll talk to him. Call him. Hello.
hello. Well, and when he's at work, he doesn't call me. So,
Well, call him back. It might be important. He may have lost a toe.
No, he did not lose a toe. He
He may
wants
have
to
left
know
it in
about,
his room and wants you to go find it. Come on. That Abby Normal was a pretty funny joke though, don't
that
you
was
think?
funny.
My mind just went there too. Boom. Yeah, no hesitation. You gonna call him?
No, I'm telling him I'm calling Geico, whatever their name is later.
Okay. All right.
And
If you
he'll have to be happy with that.
He'll have to handle his own shit for a minute.
When someone is on from
Wait,
work, oh,
something's wrong with your mic. You faded out.
faded out.
Yeah. What the hell?
I don't know what the hell. What the hell? I saw a little meme of a cat, and the cat's looking at you. What the hell? What the hell?
That's what that little cat in front of my door is doing lately. She wants to come in, or he, I don't know what it is. I'm not getting down there to look, okay? And and the cat is just precious, little golden tabby.
Yeah, I've
And
seen the picture.
and every time I open the door, if she's anywhere around, she runs to the front door. And she actually got in yesterday, and I thought I was going to have a huge fight because my dog, everybody goes, "That's your cat now. You need to take her in." I can't. I have three dogs
That
that
was
would chew her
possible.
up, you know? So, but I haven't seen her all day today, and the food hadn't been touched. So maybe she's gone home or someone's found her and taken her in. But if I was gonna have a cat, I would take that cat, but I don't want a cat. Can't have a cat.
If I could have three cats, I would take it because
Yeah.
I love orange cats, but I can only have two.
Yeah, I
And
thought about calling you and bullying you about it.
well, where are we going to get the extra $500 to put down when you go move into an apartment, or it's maybe 300? You have to put down a deposit, and then you pay monthly for the cat.
That just seems like a gimmick to me. I mean, that was seriously. Do you have to pay extra when you have children?
No,
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen some 2-year-olds that could do a hell of a lot more damage than one little cat. And
yeah.
and what's the difference in paying for two cats or three cats? I mean, I guess he put in a limit like you can't have 10. I had a
Well,
friend that
no.
ran a cat rescue, and I think her mind kind of went off the deep end toward the latter part of her years. She had cancer 3 times, and she went from having 20 cats in her rescue, which was her house, and she had a permit for that. She had a permit and everything because she got grandfathered in before they made all these different rules. And she had people that came in and helped her every day with these cats with litter boxes and stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, when I first met her, you could go in that house and you wouldn't smell anything. You wouldn't see half the cats. They'd all hide. Of course, they all love me, and I'd be covered in cats. You know,
If you being allergic.
yeah, I think they know it. I think cats are the devil, and they're like they know when someone is allergic. And I love cats. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, oh, she's allergic. Let's torture her. You know, and people go, oh, that cat won't bother you. She doesn't like people. They'll be up around my neck in 3 minutes. I'm not kidding you. But I went off the deep end. So anyway, she got sick, and she went from having 20 cats in that house to 60 when she died. And there were people that were coming to the house helping to clean the house because she wasn't living there anymore. She was in, care. She was in a care facility and stuff. But they had to gut that house, her family did, and have it rebuilt to sell it because it was
Course.
off, you know. That's
It all
sad.
soaks into the carpet, into the floor.
You can't turn your head because you'll cut out.
Oh,
Well, you can
sorry.
turn your head, just don't speak. So
Oh,
So, okay, what
well,
were we talking about? Oh, reading. Shit. We were talking about,
well, there's that in that study, the nun study, they determined that when a child spoke early in life, that they were less likely to have cognitive problems in their older life.
oh, that's good news for me.
That was one of the things that happened.
What about reading early? I was reading at 3.
Well, I think that's a part of cognitive, speaking. If you can speak, you and you learn to read, then those things are combined together.
Okay, I'm trying to find the list I pulled up. Okay, so I was just looking at the benefits of reading in general for longevity. And so it says improving brain connectivity. So that's going to be good, you know.
Absolutely.
Knocker. Increasing vocabulary and comprehension, reducing stress. Well, if you reduce stress, that's going to help your brain function as you get older. Lowering your blood pressure and heart rate. So the healthier your body is, the healthier your brain's going to be. Fighting depression symptoms. We know that people, as a rule, not all the time, but as a rule, that have mental health symptoms live 10 years less average. Because, and the only thing they equate it to is the stress that is, created by depression and bipolar and things of that nature.
Right.
Because it's very stressful in the person that has the disease. It's very stressful. It does prevent cognitive decline, but it doesn't elaborate on that. And it also aids in sleep. So if you're getting better sleep, your brain's going to function better.
Right.
So, I used to read a book a week, and I got out of that habit about 10 years ago. And now I read maybe a book a month if I'm lucky. So I have made a commitment to myself to get back to that book a week thing.
But you're reading other things. You're doing, I mean,
Oh, I do a lot of research online,
I'm
and
all good, ready to take on the world.
my phone is talking to me.
you're all ready to take on the world.
Yeah, she goes,
Yay.
I'm all good. I'm ready to take. Well, shut up. I'm gonna tell you, when that happens in the middle of the night, it's a little disconcerting. It does
I can,
that,
yeah, that would be disconcerting. Absolutely.
you know. But I also read newspapers. I read, I'm not. I like to watch news, but I read my news as well because I get it from like 5 to 10 sources
Hmm.
every day.
I
And
think you almost have to nowadays because people don't really tell you the whole truth.
no, you have to get your news from overseas if you want to know what really is going on in this country, is my opinion. Don't be
Okay.
writing me hate. No, okay? That's just what I think.
There's a
Um,
new online news called 1440, and they just report this happened, that happened. If you want to know more, go here. If you want to know more, it's
well,
just stating the facts.
I think I've lost my mind sometimes though. Don't I can hear what everybody's thinking and saying, shut up. So because mother and I sit and watch the news at 4 or 5 o'clock every day, and the things that are on the news are not newsworthy. Well, let's look at little Johnny's spelling bee, and he's the top third grader in Texas. Well, okay, that's wonderful. But we really need a 5 minute segment in a 60-minute show about little Tommy's spelling bee? I want to know what's going on in the country. I want to know what's going on in the Middle East. And
Well,
then,
you know why they do that?
no, I don't know why they do that.
Because people want more happy news.
Oh, I'm really struggling not to cuss lately. I am really, that's, and you know what really annoys me? Let me tell you, the weathermen are like the new superstars of television. They get on there and they talk 10 to 15 minutes about the weather. And you're like, I have a farmer's almanac and I've got windows in my house. Do I really need to see all of this weather crap going on? And they do it over and over and over. And the way they describe it, you would think that they were talking about finding the elixir of youth and how exciting it is to find out what's going on. I mean, you're like,
Well,
oh.
your husband and I were driving somewhere for a gig, and we talked about how if we were as accurate as weathermen, we would be out.
Yeah, and they're not even right half the time, and still, and they get paid good money to be wrong. Hey, I can get paid and be wrong. Pay me, and I'll tell you how wrong I can be. You know?
Well, yeah, I told him if I was wrong as many or, off as much as the weatherman, my boss would say, I think we need to reevaluate your
Yeah,
job.
yeah, yeah. You'd be getting a call from me. Hello, the podcast really sucked today. Do you think you could get a few facts built into that and the
Oh,
sports? Oh my God, the sports.
is that because we're in the South? We're Friday Night Lights is
Mm-mm.
popular or
No,
what?
because it's some way up. I mean, look at the cheese heads in Wisconsin, and I, I have a theory about sports, though. I have a theory. I think that sports were we were brainwashed as a society to get off on sports, to help people get through hard times and the depression, and they also needed something to put on the radio, and they didn't have a lot of entertainment to put on the radio and to fill that time. And so that was also a way to market and sell ad time on the radio. So they would start putting the ball games on there, and people bonded. And you hear people talk about the stories of being gathered around the radio. And then
Yeah.
later on, when TV came in, who was going to sit around and watch TV on Sunday? Most of them were at church. So they had to bring something in that the family could do together so they could watch the ball games on Sundays. And we have just been brainwashed,
Well,
brainwashed.
it was a way to bring people uh, a reprieve from the war. They even, what is that movie called with Tom Hanks and
A
about the
league of their
base?
own.
Yeah, that was about how women started filling in the space because men were in the war.
Yeah, and now women still don't make as much money in
No,
sports, even though, so I mean that's just a bunch of crap. But here's the thing. I thought sports was something you were supposed to do, not something you were supposed to watch, you
and
know?
I think a lot of people feel that way, but those people who are not athletically inclined, sometimes they like to watch.
Yeah, but you know what else goes on in affiliation with the sports? And they don't talk about this. You got your gambling.
Hmm.
Okay. And you got the illegal gambling that's organized, and then you got the little honest, on it. If is there such a thing as honest gambling? With the football pots at the water
Yeah.
cooler at the office and things like that. And then you've got all the drinking that's going on. And I would love, because I know what it was like in the bail bond business after a big game. I mean, when Texas OU game was in Dallas, we would
Oh, yeah.
make a killing in one night more than we did the whole month. I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you. From DWI to public in talks to public indecency. I mean, it was just one thing after another. The jails were packed. They were packed. You know. So you got the gambling, you got all the drinking and the drugging and all that goes on with it. You've got the prostitution because you got to have girls to party with. And let's face it, some of these people just don't have their own girls, okay? And and then you got look at what has gone on with the tickets.
I know.
$1,500 for a family of four to go to a game is average now.
Well,
Really?
for football, what about baseball?
You know? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't do any of that crap. I don't watch sports. This is
No.
hilarious. I went to every football game in junior high school and in high school until my senior year for our schools. And then our band also used to play halftime a lot at the Dallas
Right?
Cowboy games. I still don't know the rules to football.
You do not need to know the rules of football to march at the halftime.
No,
I'm
I just
sorry.
need to know when to march and I needed to know when to do the charge. Da, 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 da. That's
Yeah.
all. And I would take my Swisher Sweet cigars and my flask of bourbon when I was in high school, and I had my own little private party going on. So, again, there's a very dark side, very, very dark, 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 dark side. And then I don't watch the Olympics either. Why? Because that's being the spectator. I'm not a spectator. But, you do see the news articles and all this conflict and that. How is that fun? How is that
It's
fun?
not.
You know? So, what were
But
we
how
talking
much
about?
of that conflict is a part of the whiny portion of the people that feel like that's not fair? I mean, come on.
Well, here's what I said to somebody on Facebook the other day. They were complaining about that opening ceremony in France with the drag queens. I love drag queens. I wish people would just shut up about this crap. I mean, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And that's what I said. If you don't like it, don't
Turn it
watch it. Yeah, turn it off because seriously, what are you going to do about it? If you are so grossly, deeply offended, do something proactive, write your congressman, call and complain to the Olympic Committee,
on.
protest. I don't know, but get off social media and quit nagging everybody and quit preaching to everybody when you don't have a license to preach. Stop it. You know,
I'll
I got a li-
remember that the next time you start preaching at me.
I got a license. I have a reverend certificate from 3 different organizations. 3.
Well, I only have it from one organization, so
Well, I kept forgetting where mine was listed at. So so people were asking me to do weddings, and I couldn't find my certificate. And I always felt like I should at least give them a copy of my certificate if I'm doing a wedding. So when I couldn't find it, I went and registered at another one. Well, a year or two later, it happened again, and I couldn't remember. So I joined another one, and all of a sudden, I was cleaning out my hard drive a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh look, here's all my certificates.
yeah.
So, oh well.
Well, Robert said I needed a new phone because mine was, I was having trouble typing. It wouldn't type, or it would type, So
Does it
he
talk to you
switched
in your
me.
sleep?
No, I'm sorry. I missed that part. But in the morning when my alarm goes off, the time is now 6:30. It's time to get up. And I went, where did that come from?
Yeah, don't
I
turn
don't
your head
remember.
again.
Huh?
Don't turn your head again.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on.
We're gonna have to get you a mic, an
I know.
external.
I have one.
Well, you need to plug that
Plug it
sucker in.
in.
You need to plug it in. Well, not now. Stop. You're going cattywampus. Oh my God.
What the hell is Caddy? What?
What are you
Well,
doing?
we're off topic.
You're off picture now. So I mean, what the heck?
Oh,
I hate that our video didn't turn out last week because we were having such a good time.
we were having a good time. And I did enjoy listening.
I
I
couldn't figure out how to turn the shared screen off. So I just kind of muted it to the side, not knowing that it would keep us from videotaping what we were saying.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna write Zoom. Okay, here's me being proactive. I'm not just gonna complain. I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna write Zoom and say, hey, you're driving me nuts. What are you doing?
What?
We, all we can see is a blurred background and a curl on your head. She's a girl with a curl in the middle of her forehead.
Well, that's artificial too. So
Okay, well, that's better though, whatever you did. So, anyhow, anyway, so you read a lot.
oh yeah.
Okay, we're going to give the other side of this conversation. I read a lot. I'm not sure it's helping our brains though.
Um, I used to read really important things, like biology and gene adjustments and um, the length of your telomeres. How does that help you survive old age? I used to read important things, but now I read smut.
She does. All her books have that man that looks like Fabio, and his hair's like this blowing in the wind, and he's got these pecs out to here, and he's standing at the edge of the boat like he's on a Titanic. I'll save
Uh,
her. They're nasty, just nasty.
or they're werewolves, or they're vampires, or
Hey, where
something.
are you getting those werewolf books? I don't know any good werewolf books anymore. I've read
Oh,
all those.
these are through what the hell is the name of that program?
I don't know. What is it? I need to write it down. You've been holding
It,
out on me.
well, unfortunately, there's ads between the chapters, so it's a little bit distracting. So where is
Is it on
it?
Kindle or?
No, it's not on. Oh, it's on my other phone. Okay.
Well, you can email. And listen, I don't. If they're if they're just vampires and werewolves that look like Fabio and they're seducing women and having sex, I don't want those. I want something that's got a storyline to it that's not just sex. And if
Well,
it's gonna be, it better be BDSM sex. Okay,
oh my
so
God, they do have those.
I
They
know
do
they're
have
still
those, but
available.
Uh, that's not
The
my,
beauty series. You ever read the beauty series?
no.
Oh, that's a whole nother show.
But, um, you know, I, I probably should go back to something with a little more information. I did pick up an article when I was looking for the Nun article about your telomeres and how they help you and how to keep them from,
That
how to
sounds
keep the
nasty. What are you saying? I don't want them touching my titty lemurs.
telomeres are at the end of your genes when they start to uh,
Mm.
divide. And keeping the telomere on the end protects your genetic information.
Oh, and I need to tell you something before I
Uh-oh.
forget.
Okay.
We're not going to record next Monday. It'll have to be a Tuesday or something.
Okay.
You want to know why? Do you want to know
Sure.
why?
Why? I know I'm going to regret this. Sure.
You
Why?
know, everybody's going to regret it. So, I had a breast reduction 2 years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so they had to detach everything and then reattach everything because they took off 2/3 of my breast. I have cute little perky breasts now. I have a B
Wish I
cup.
did.
They used to be triple J's.
Yeah. Sign
Well,
me up.
yeah. Well, so okay, this is medicine, so I shouldn't hesitate. It's not bad. My nipples never came out. I look like Barbie. I mean, there's color there, but I just look like Barbie. So I'm going in next week, and he says that he can make like a little incision, and it will pop the little nipples out, and they won't be big because I don't have big breasts, but at least now I will look like,
Normal.
yeah. And I can now enter a wet t-shirt contest test and maybe win because I'll have all of
Your
my ability.
parts.
Yeah, all the parts will be on display, and I could actually maybe win for a change.
I would love to have a reduction.
I'm going to tell you, it's the best thing I've ever done in my life, except getting a new hip. I have lost 90% of my pain with the new hip. And, because the reason I got the breast reduction was because they said it would get rid of my back pain. It didn't. It didn't make any change whatsoever. Why? Because there was nothing wrong with my back. Well, there is a little something wrong, but not enough to cause problems. It was my hip. Not only was it bone on bone, the bone from the hip joint had ground into the outer part of the bone and dug a hole up into it. So this side was like half an inch too short.
Right.
I was rubbing on it, and all this stuff. And within 2 months, I was climbing mountains. It's awesome, 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 awesome. So this doesn't have a damn thing to do with our brains, but if you feel better, you think it's easier to think. I will
Yes,
say
I
that.
think so too. I think it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So,
When
I
you,
think pain has a
you're
lot
more
to do.
interested in reading and learning and
Reading about sex, those that can't read about it. No,
those that can't do read. Yeah, that's right. Those that
those
can't.
that do, and those that can't read. Ooh,
Yeah.
it still rhymed.
Yes, okay.
Did they say in that study though? I wanted to ask this. Did it say that it mattered what you read and how long you read every
I
day?
don't think it did. I don't think it did. But maybe if I'd have gone deeper into the article, it would have.
Because I started reading again, and I have found that reading more than 15, 20 minutes is hard for me now. I used to read all day long.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with screen time.
Mhm.
And I am now enjoying TikTok because I can't do more than a minute of videos without going, what? And like even today on my class, it was a live stream, but I came in late. So I was getting to come in and watch what I'd missed because I was no longer watching the live version.
Mhm.
So I was like fast forwarding through crap. And I was like, oh, I missed something. So then I had to rewind it a little bit because he was like in the middle of one of his acronyms. And I'm like, oh, I missed the first two letters. So I got to go back, and it's made me very impatient. I just want, but that's why I like reading is you can scan through stuff. And if they're telling a story and you don't care about the story, you can scan through the story and just get to the main points of the facts, that type of thing. So I
Right.
still prefer reading. And then like I got to a big fight I didn't get into a fight. They were mad at me. Okay. I joined a group and I took over a position of having to manage certain things for this group, and I didn't know how to do certain things. Well, the person that did it before wouldn't just sit down and talk to me for a minute or send me some notes. She took the time to sit down and record 15 or 20 little videos and says, "Here, this is everything you need to know." And I'm like, here, you can have this back. I don't watch videos. That's not how I learn. Well, we were off and running to the races then. She was pissed.
How dare you learn a different way from me?
You know, didn't ask, didn't ask what I needed, how I needed it, wouldn't
Well,
return my phone calls.
I don't think a lot of people think about that. I think they just, okay, this is how I learn, and I'll send that to her. They don't think
Yeah.
about how you learn.
No, no. And didn't ask what I really needed. I mean, she gave me a lot of information that she thought I needed, but I didn't because they had complicated a system that could have been made so easy, and I mean she called me names and she wouldn't return my phone calls and all because I didn't like the way she did it. And I'm like, I just need the information. Can you, and so I can go in there and adjust it and see if I can streamline this so I can do my job. It wasn't about, I don't care how you did your job. I don't care how long you did your job. Great. You did a wonderful job. Everybody appreciates that. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm trying to do the job now. And oh my gosh. And she, so much ugliness came out of that. I was just like, oh my God, really? You know? So, oh well.
People don't interpret. They interpret what you say, but it's their interpretation. So it's not uh, it's not really what you meant when they start
Well,
interpreting.
well, she didn't even do any of this until after the fact. She just like threw this all at me. Okay. And I'm like, I don't even care about that. That's not important. That's not what I need. And did you know that you could do it this way instead, and then it's going to be easier? Oh, it's just a mess. It's just a friggin', and it's still a mess because there's still some things that we're having to adjust and straighten out and things like that. It's just, and it's frustrating when you know that you could do a really beautiful job at something, but you
Mhm.
don't have the tools that you need to do it. That's what frustrates me,
Exactly.
you
I
know?
think that not everybody learns the same way, and um, not everybody thinks about how you learn. They think, oh, here's a video, you can learn it. Well, sometimes I learn things from YouTube video, sometimes I don't. I have to read it.
Well, and let me just say this. We all have talents
Yes,
and they thrive in certain environments. I am not an idiot. I'm a very intelligent person. My teachers told me so all during school, and I just don't think all of them lied to me. But that doesn't mean that certain things are easy for me. And it doesn't mean that I can just pick up something and run with it if it's not presented in a certain manner. To me, when they came out with PowerPoint, oh my God, I was so excited. This is what I have been waiting for all my life. A screen and bullet points. Boom, boom,
yep,
boom. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted in life. And then if something else needed to be explained, they took that top bullet point and they broke it down into sub bullet points.
right.
Perfect. Oh my
That's the
God.
that's the way I take notes when I'm in a lecture.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I've died and gone to heaven. And now we're getting away from that. And so people are like doing these videos and they do like we do on the podcast when they're trying to teach you something. They tell stories and they jibber jabber and they chit chat and that's entertaining, but it's not educational.
Right.
And I think people get confused. I'm gonna have a
Yeah,
drink now.
if your example has something directly to do with what you're talking about, sometimes it helps. Sometimes it helps the analogy of the subject. And I know a lot of times when I'm explaining anaerobic environments for bacteria,
What? You're explaining what? Wait a minute,
anaerobic,
wait a minute. Let me tell you what I heard. I heard that bacteria does aerobics.
okay, so yeah, kind of, but in this aerobics, they don't use oxygen. It's anaerobic.
Oh, I don't know what that
So
means.
a lot of times you have to explain aerobic means air, anaerobic means not air.
Ah, okay.
The A stands for not. It's one of those prefixes that in especially medicine or biology that they use a lot.
Got it.
Yeah. So I had to explain to them, okay, anaerobic means nobody's letting you breathe, so you've got to breathe something else. You can't breathe oxygen. You got to breathe something else. And then I explained to them what it was. So sometimes in those examples, it helps them because a lot of times when I would take over the labs, you know, I mean, I was doing it under the direction of the instructor. So I was doing what she told me to do, but
Right.
I did have the knowledge to do it. And they would say, when are you going to teach a lab? Because they appreciated me boiling it down to this is what it means.
Well, that's what teaching's all about. It's not about just memorizing facts or figures and that type of. And it's like this guy that who I can't remember his name right now was teaching today. It's about knowing what you learned and knowing it well enough that you can teach it. And oh, and here's the other point: knowing it so well that you can teach it, you can get up and talk about it and not have to have a screen in front of you to read off of.
Right.
Okay. And that is what perfection is as far as the brain is concerned, is knowing it so well that you can regurgitate that information. And then excellence is when you can regurgitate that information and you are able to figure out the filters that that person hears through. Mind, do they see it? Do they feel it? Do they hear it? Are they visual? And put it in the language where they can filter it better.
That was a big deal when we were talking about changing people's approach to teaching. We did that. Of course, we're always trying to improve everybody's teaching, but it was a requirement then to add not only visual, but then hands on, and then add reading to it. I mean, everybody, they wanted all of the modalities that people use to learn. And that was hard to achieve, but a lot of instructors did.
Well, he was demonstrating how if you put the physical into it, how much easier it is to remember it. So I'll put myself to the test. So he's giving us 10 brain foods. So the top of your head is avocados. The nose is blueberries. The mouth is spinach, I think. Eggs was the throat. Shoulders is the leafy greens, the kale. Around the neck, the collar is salmon. The belly button is walnuts, and the bottom is dark chocolate.
So it helped to
I
remember.
did it. I did it. I was so
Yeah.
excited. Oh, wait,
In
wait. No, one. Fingers. Fingers is turmeric.
Oh, okay. So
But see, I
they
did
do,
it.
yeah, and they do that a lot. It's called not numerics. Yeah, a font using alphabet to like on Olympus towering tops lives a fin and something else that I don't remember already. That's the first letter of all the nerves of the cranium.
See, but that doesn't work for me by itself. And he explained it beautifully. I had the physicality because I hit my head, I touched my nose,
Yes.
touched my mouth. So the physicality of doing all this,
Hmm.
you know, made a difference. And so you were if you were watching, I touched myself and then I remembered egg,
They
and
say, I don't know who they are, but they say if you're trying to remember something and you reach across your uh, nerves, in other words, you're crossing the right hand onto the left part of the
yeah,
body or vice versa, that
yeah,
it's
because you're
easier
connecting the
to
brain
make the
together.
connections in the brain.
That is called anchoring in NLP. Okay, putting an
Okay.
anchoring in. So I was just thrilled with that. And so I have been going through a process to change core beliefs with my mentor, and you
Hmm.
have to memorize these decisions. I have not been able to retain the decisions. I will memorize them and I will be able to say them And then the next day I can't remember them. And I have been really discouraged about this for over a year now. And because I used to have almost a photographic memory where I could read something and remember it almost
Hmm.
verbatim. Like I knew all of the Poe's poetry and tons of Bible verses and stuff like that. But I've had over 9 concussions in my life. And I lost a lot of memories during that time period, and then I got memories back. But I never have had to really learn how to memorize because I didn't have to. So now that's one of the reasons why I'm taking this course, this 3-day course, is I'm hoping this will help me be able to memorize these decisions.
Really? So
Yeah.
you think that he's going to em uh, embrace something that will help you?
What?
Do you think you're going to be able to embrace something that will help you remember?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, just the fact that I could remember those 10 positions and those 10 foods and he just went over it and I just wrote it down and I could repeat it back to you 2 hours later. That's very encouraging. I couldn't have done that like
So do
before.
you see yourself doing touches and to each goal
When I
that
think about you, I touch myself. No,
I knew that was coming? Well, I knew
you
that was
know,
coming.
you
Yeah,
knew it was coming.
yeah.
I think so. The one thing I'm concerned about is that also you have to have emotion attached to things as well for like learning new habits and different things.
Mhm,
And when I read these decisions, I'm not sure I have a high enough emotional attachment to them because they just don't read the way I talk, but the
mhm.
way they read the way it was explained to me, the way it reads and the syntax of it is important. Because what you're doing is you're
Oh,
reprogramming the subconscious. And I
mhm,
firmly believe in reprogramming that subconscious because that's what I do with the handwriting therapy. We
mhm.
reprogram the subconscious and we do it painlessly. So I'm hoping
But
this will make this painless.
I don't know if I ever told you, but after my bout with depression and I got back to what I call normal, in line, my writing changed. I saw a change in my writing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because your handwriting will reflect depression.
Hmm.
Absolutely. That's why when I tell people certain things about them, when I read their handwriting, I'm very confident when I tell them. Because with the handwriting, we can see 350 traits in their handwriting.
Hmm.
Okay. And so I can tell when people have self-esteem problems, when they have relationship problems with men or with women or both, or they don't. I can tell if they have PTSD. I can even see some physical health issues, but I don't normally look for that stuff. I don't like dealing with physical health issues. But by looking at that and then going in and saying, okay, you're going to do this, but this is the way the letter's now going to look.
Look,
Yeah, thank you. Uh, that's when people start having the changes in their subconscious. And here's the kicker, though. And this is where a lot of people kind of object to doing the therapy. They have to do it with their non-dominant hand.
yeah.
Yeah. But it does just what you were describing a while ago. By going across, you're building neurons between the left brain and right brain that it's the same thing as doing exercises or doing powerlifting with your brain. You're
Mhm.
making it stronger. So like if you're right-handed and you do it with your left hand, your brain's going, wow, this is kind of awkward. But after a while it gets used to it. And it's like, oh, this is really
Well,
peaceful.
when I screwed up my shoulder, I I got back into the classroom and I have my arm strapped down, but I've got to write on the board and give notes. So the first thing I said to this, I'm sorry that I look like a 5-year-old up here, but if you have a question, because I'm not left-handed,
Right.
I mean, but I did improve my left hand writing during that time.
Well, see, what's interesting for me is I write with my right hand and I do probably 75% of everything else left-handed.
Hmm.
So I'm ambidextrous. But when I started doing the therapy myself, because anything I do, I've done it myself first. I don't ever encourage anyone to do something I haven't done. And so writing with my left hand, it was painful at first, but it was more legible. And even now, writing left-handed is so much more legible than my right hand looks like a serial killer. It's just bizarre. I don't mean that literally, people. It's just it's just messy. It's blood everywhere. You know.
Mine is the opposite.
Yeah.
But
So,
once I got my depression under control, I was writing one day and I went, "Oh, I need to tell this to Deborah. Look at that. That's totally different than the way I've been writing."
and 3 years later, now you tell me.
It hadn't been that long.
It feels like eternity. Every day feels like eternity. Oh, really? I don't mind. I just say things because I think they're funny sometimes. I don't really mean them.
I know. I
Don't try
have
to
that.
analyze me. It will make you crazy. I
Don't
used to tell
what?
my psychoanalyze me,
Oh,
make you crazy. I used to make my kids crazy when they're growing up. They go, "Where are we going, Mom?" I go, "Crazy, crazy for feeling so lonely." They hated that. They hate that song now.
oh God.
They remind me of it constantly. Remember when we'd ask you where we were going?
Yeah, we're going to hell if we don't change our ways.
Oh, my grandmother used to say that. Yeah.
Oh.
And I would always say, "What makes you think we aren't already there and we're trying to get out?"
Sometimes I feel that way, that
I
we're already
know.
there and we're trying to get out.
All right. So, do we have anything else we want to say about the original subject, which is reading?
Well, I think the original subject is you've got to continue to read, learn things, be involved in the world around you. You can't just ignore all that stuff and expect to retain an interest in life and your cognitive health.
Which brings up a really good point. Someone mentioned to me earlier. Why do older people resist learning new things like learning phones and learning the internet and learning how to
Mhm.
stream? I mean, well, we didn't used to do that. No, and you didn't used to have toilet paper if you're old because you had to use the Sears
Sears
catalog.
catalog.
But you really like that toilet paper now. What the hell?
Yes, I had a boyfriend that he was 15 years older than me. And, later when I met up with him later, I was saying something about cell phones. And he goes, "I hate cell phones and computers." And I went, "What?"
What?
Now you have to understand that that was in the 80s. And
I always loved technology.
yeah,
Always.
80s and 90s when the phones came out. When did the phones come out? 95, 96?
I had a cell phone in 85. Now, we called them cell phones. Well, actually, at the time, we called them briefcase phones because they carried their own battery pack and everything in this huge briefcase thing that weighed
Right.
about 50 pounds.
Uh,
And it was like something from Get Smart, and you'd pull it out and everything. But I had one of the original first ones in Texas because I was in the bail bond business. I also was one of the first companies in the bail bond business that have a computer and computerized everything, where
mhm.
everything went click, 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 and the dot matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first computer was a Commodore.
Yeah. I've always loved learning stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I get tired and I'm like, oh, I just, when my phone update, because I'm going to tell you what, I don't know what, I have two different phones. I have a Samsung. No, I'm not an Apple person. I was an Apple person, but I'm not anymore. I don't like Apple. Thank you. And I have a Samsung and then I have the Asian version, which is called OnePlus. But every time they update, it's like they become totally new phones and everything is different, everything changes. But my favorite feature on the phone is being able to give everybody their own ringtone so you know who's calling.
Oh, yeah. You know what yours is?
Uh-uh.
I changed it today. I ain't a
What?
bitch.
What?
I ain't a bitch.
That's what you put on there as my ringtone. Hang on a
Yeah.
second. I'm on my podcast.
I was trying to play it, but it doesn't want to play.
Well,
I ain't a bitch.
I'm not. Thank you for recognizing that. All
Well,
right.
you've just been going on and on and on and on. I guess everybody thinks I'm a bitch. Well, you ain't. You ain't a bitch.
No, everybody just acts like they're scared of me though sometimes. and stuff like that. Or this is what I hear a lot from people. Not so much now as I used to, but a lot of times I hear from people, "Oh my God, you are so intimidating."
I hear
Really?
that a lot. And I
What's
think
that?
I think it's because we continue to learn, we continue to read, we know things they don't because they're just kind of floating. A lot of people when they leave high school, I don't have to learn anything else. Well, that's wrong.
Oh,
You
gee.
do.
Why live? Why live? I will say this, for years I used to do an imitation. There was a man that was Cajun that used to work with me at Homer's Home Depot when I was at late teens. And he'd get mad at the customers, and he had the big old white handlebar mustache and
Uh-huh.
just here. He goes, "I'm gonna knock them out." And he would follow the customers down the center aisle going, "You need to get out of here. I'm gonna knock you out." And they thought he was kidding. He wasn't. Now,
No.
they didn't even think he was intimidating. So I don't understand what people think is intimidating. I think that would have intimidated me to have someone following me like that, you
Well,
know?
people are used to that kind of violence, I think. They're not used to our ability to tell them to F off with just words.
Oh, I could just do it with a look.
Well, I can too, but
All right, I'm done. I'm tired of this. I'm done
okay.
with this.
All right.
You're a lovely, lovely person to do this with, but I'm having trouble focusing today.
Yeah, I had food poisoning and I just spent the last 48 hours trying to not throw up. So I get it.
Do you feel better?
Yes, I do feel better, but I still have a kind of rumbling in my gut, shall we
So
say.
when you think of your bottom, do you think of dark chocolate?
No,
When
no,
he
but
said
you will from now on.
when he said that, I'm like, nobody will forget that one. Nobody. Your bottom is the dark chocolate.
Okay.
I nearly fell out of my chair. All right, well, tell them how to find you.
You can find me at uh, URL is ancientherbalapothecary.com or Luann at that's Luann. I'm sorry, I have to forget how, people don't always know how to spell it.
She didn't know how to
Ancient
spell it half the time either, so don't worry.
at ancientherbalapothecary.com. That's my email.
Yeah.
I still am trying to make body products and things like that, and sometimes I get sidetracked, but I'm still trying to do that.
And Dr. Matthew Pierce isn't with us today, and I just want to shout out to him, say you were missed, Matthew. I hope you're feeling better. And I am Deborah Colleen Rose, and our sponsor is Miles of Smiles Events, and it's milesofsmilesevents.com. And I have a private investigation company. I will tell you all about everybody if you pay me enough. And it's isgu.com. And my spiritual coaching and life coaching and handwriting therapy, you can find that on deborahcolleenrose.com. So until next week, when we're talking again, watch out, and we'll see y'all soon.
Bye now.